Hello, everyone. I wanted to take a few moments to share some of my main takeaways from class this summer. And I'd say my biggest takeaway is just the phrase on the screen there is that multimedia, this class was all about how to manage the cognitive load of the learners, and really appreciated that. I really loved that even though the textbook was written kind of from a professional standpoint with adults and applied to online courses, it really could be really applied to any class. And just the idea of whoever you're teaching, whatever you're teaching them, you want to manage that visual and auditory channel in their brain with whatever materials you're using, with however you're presenting your information. So I really appreciated that. I felt like I couldn't really stop comparing what I was reading in the book to what I do on a typical day in the classroom, which a lot of you probably had that same experience. So it really made me think of a training I went to a few years ago as a reading specialist. I go to a lot of trainings about just how to help students with specific learning challenges. And I went to a really powerful workshop about dyslexia and just the whole idea that dyslexics are generally very intelligent people, but typically have a hard time with their working memory. And that just causes them to develop at a different rate with literacy, but very intelligent people. And the trainer actually was talking a lot about working memory and how at dyslexic schools, they'll actually teach the kids cursive first and just have them stick with cursive. And the reason why is because and you can even see examples on the screen here, that the pen strokes or the pencil strokes are very fluid and smooth, and it helps preserve their working memory as opposed to print, where you're constantly picking up your pencil, dotting things, crossing things. Every letter you're picking up and putting down your pencil. And so his whole point was we need to preserve the working memory. We need to keep the thoughts flowing more smoothly as the kids are writing. And cursive really offers that for kids. So really kind of some neat background things that this class was reminding me about and just reaffirming for me some of the things that I've learned. And got to learn a lot of new things as well. And really could go down through all the principles we learned about and how they help learners learn. But the three that really stood out to me would be the contiguity, the redundancy, and the coherency principle. And I love that each of them just really, as I read about them, really helped hammer home the idea of how we really just need to manage the cognitive load we're giving our learners. I have always loved playing video games. So big game from my youth was Super Mario 3. And I have one of the instruction booklets still around. I was curious just to see how they presented it, because I remember looking through manuals and just thinking like, well, sometimes they have, the control up top and then all the inputs down below. But I really love what they did. You can see the different inputs there with Mario doing the different things. I like how they have the picture of him actually doing his motion or his activity. And then right below it, they have the button input or the control pad inputs. And so I thought that was really neat, especially thinking about the typical audience that would have been playing that a long time ago, mainly kids. Maybe some of them aren't really great readers yet. So I love that they, in its most simple format, you could look at the picture of Mario holding a shell or running or jumping, taking off to fly, and you just look at the control pad below it and you see which button to push is highlighted in red and which direction to push on the control pad. You see a couple more examples here, and thought they did a really good job of just making sure that the label and the directive was really close to the picture. They kept it together. And I couldn't help, as I was reading the chapter about the continuity principle, I couldn't help but think about manuals. So TV manuals, stereo manuals, they always have the picture of the back of the stereo or the TV at the top, and then down below, this one isn't as crazy, but sometimes it goes up to like 1 through 50 of the numbers. And you're kind of looking up at the picture, and then you're looking for the number, and then you're looking down at the bottom, then you're looking for the number, and then you're reading what it is, then you're looking back up. You can just seeing here, the eyes are going all over. And again, it's just taxing that working memory, just kind of going back and forth and back and forth. So also, along with the redundancy principle, the idea of just not overloading the screen with text, just really providing audio for the auditory channel, and then also just a visual, your video running or your diagram for the visual channel. And just picture, building a wall, how to frame a wall, and just any of those YouTube videos that some of you probably build things or learn how to do things through YouTube, I think they're so effective because they're showing you how to do things while they're narrating it. And you're kind of working on that visual level and the auditory level, but they're not loading the screen up with a whole bunch of text. So, and then a violation of that would be one of these, if a video were to kind of animate things and have a whole bunch of video or words on there, you're kind of getting overloaded by the words on the screen. You're deciding, well, should I be reading it? Should I be listening to it? Meanwhile, all the animations are happening, and you're missing out on a lot of the whole point of the lesson. So the last principle I want to talk about was the coherency principle. And really, with the coherency principle, it's really just about what is the essential information. So, you just have what's necessary. You're just going to event. You have to get dressed up. You're just going to wear what's necessary. And then maybe the same event, somebody really wants to wear a lot, go a little crazy with what they're wearing. They're going to have a whole bunch of extra things on. It's very distracting. We have a nice clean image. You can see who the person is right away. Here, it's very distracting, a lot going on, some extra information that is not necessary in the lesson. So in closing, I feel like my main takeaway from the course was just the importance of managing the cognitive load of the learners. Can happen in any setting. Really love the idea of, though, just of in the context of building visuals and choosing websites to use, kind of how they manage that visual and the auditory channels in a learner's brain. And just the idea of doing it well kind of gives me this idea of like a nice peaceful view and something that's just nice and calm and serene. So really enjoyed this course. Felt like I learned a lot for the in-class experience of teaching, also online teaching, and just building any kind of visual or just choosing any visual in the future.